Okay.
Yes,
Now
sir.
again for fetch, let us create one more Python file. Right. Again from dbcon import con, I get the connection object by default, so I don't have to recreate the connection now. All I have to is def get records. Right. In this, I'm going to use the connection object. Like creating my cursor object. I'm going to execute my query. Select start from employee. So this is my query. Now the number of rows I can take, rows is equal to cursor dot. I'm going with fetch all. Now it fetches all the records in one go. Fetches all the records in one go. Right? What am I going to say here for row in rows? Right? If I want to check how many rows have come, right? Print cursor dot row count. I guess that is the right function name. Let me just execute this and to see like if the row count is correct. Print cursor dot row count. Right, let me re-execute again. Okay, print cursor dot row count. It is okay, which get employee records only. Okay, I'm not calling this function. So since this is a function, I have to call this function, right? Only then it will get executed. Otherwise, it will just create. Right, it says, did you mean row count? There is no underscore here. It is just the row count. Let us execute this to see how many records are there. Int object is not callable. It is not a function. It is a variable. Right, there are 5 entries. Let's just validate. Right, we do have 5 entries, right? 2 to 6, which is 5. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right, get employee records. Now print ID. So it is ordered in a way, right? So ID, name, right? Whatever. So if I use like this, ID, name, email, salary, it is going to give me in the same order. So 0th index will be ID, first index it will be name, email, and salary, and so on. Right. So I am going to row of 0 will be ID, name, email, salary. So in the same way, the rows, it is a list of records, and each record I'm iterating, right? And I'm taking the values. Right, I'm just going to show print rows, and then in the each row we are trying to print this. And once everything is done, what we have to do is always connection dot close. Let's execute. Right, if you see here, it's this is list of tuples, list of records, list of tuples, and each row is a tuple. Each row is a tuple. So when I iterate here, I'm taking tuple also is indexed, right? 0, 1, 2, 3. I can take that value. right? So if you see every time Raj record has 4 details, again Som record, right? Momin record, Archana record, Rupina record, everybody has one record. Yeah, is that clear?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So you can also run a homework case, right? You have to do the update query, right? And you have to try to update the value. You have to try to update the value and also delete certain record and also delete certain record. So check if the name is so and so, then go ahead and delete. If it doesn't have an email ID, go ahead and delete. If it doesn't have an email ID, update the email ID and you can delete the record based on the name. You can delete the record based on the name. These two things are assignment for you.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
All right.
Okay.
Now get record by ID. I'll pass the ID, right? Based on that ID, or maybe name, and this has to get the record based on the name. Now one record is what we are focusing on. Browser, execute, select ID, name, email from employee where name is equal to whatever is the name. That is okay. We are getting one record. So here I'm sure it can be only one. So I'm here using fetch one. I'm just going to print record directly. I'm going to call this function the name Raj. Let us see if it does anything. Right. Connection already closed because by the time it came here, the connection is closed. Right. So what we'll do connection dot close, we'll not put it within the function. So once the connection is closed, you cannot execute any queries. I'll put it at the end. Okay, so we are able to get that record. Fetched. I'm just going to write this and let's execute this again. So Raj record is found and fetched, and this is the Raj record. Okay, now what if I pass something that DB doesn't exist, right? Right? It is says none. It says none. Raja record is found and fetched. Now what we can do is if record, right? Then do this. If the matching is not found, fetch one will return none. Fetch one will return none. Not found. Right? Raja record is not found because we don't have that record at all. Okay. right? Fetch all, fetch one. So write a update and delete queries. You have to try update and delete queries now. Okay, is that clear?
Okay, sir.
Clear.
Okay, that is all about psychopg2 package. Psychopg2 package. Right. We look at few more things. So we know what is pip and how to install pip and all of that, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And Python also, see, there will be situations where you will be asked to work on multiple projects, where you would be asked to work on multiple projects in Python, right? You are going to use the same laptop to work on multiple projects. Yes,
Yes, sir.
they will not give one laptop per project. They will just give one project, one laptop, and they'll give multiple projects. Now the problem is in what is the version for PsychObj binary we are using here? 2.9.7. In one project we are using this version. In another project you might be using another version. Right. So here, for example, if I have to tell, it is one laptop, right? And they have assigned three projects. Example. And whatever PsychObj2 version that you are using here in one project is 2.7, another project is 2.5, another project is 1.6. Okay, you have three projects and you have to work with three versions. I mean, this is just I'm talking about one library. There might be like 20, 30 libraries which can be different between each project. Now every time you install, it is installed at a common place. Pip install is installed at a common place. Now, it irrespective of your project 1 or project 2 or project 3, whenever you try to run these particular projects, they will always go get from the common place. The libraries always go get from the common place. Now, the problem is, right, since the versions are different, obviously certain functionalities also would be different. So it would not work, right? For example, 2.7 is installed. This is a global installation, right? 2.7 is installed. Project 1 works well. In project 2, what I require is 2.5. In project 3, what I require is 1.6. Now, these two are prone to failure because the version is not matching. Because the version is not matching. These two can fail, right? Now, is there any way in Python? And do you agree with me? And so far, guys,
Sir.
right? Now, see now project 1 will pass because this requirement is 2.7. The installed version is also 2.7. Perfect. Now, if I have to run project 2, I want 2.5. So what I have to do? Pip install 2.7, uninstall, and again pip install 2.5. Again, if I'm running project 3, pip uninstall 2.5, pip install 1.6. Again, if I'm running project 1, pip uninstall 1.6, install 2.7. This is the job that I have to do. And every time, like, since you're working on multiple projects, it is obvious that you will be running multiple files. And every time you run different projects, right, it will become very hard to go back and reinstall things and stuff like this. This is going to cause a lot of time waste and a lot of problem. Now, then Python gave us, right, something called virtual environment to handle such cases. Something called virtual environment. Something called virtual environment. This is a very, very important thing as you go further with the projects, right? Right, so I think so with the latest version, right? So you would have got this by default, the virtual environment. Can you all just quickly type virtual env on your terminal? Let me also check. ENB, right? If you hit virtual ENB and enter, you should see something like this, right? There should not be any errors. You should just see something like this. Can you confirm? Do you guys have it?
Okay, sir.
It's working? Is it working or not working? Okay, fine. Since you guys are least interested in responding, I'll have to continue. I can't keep asking the same question again and again. Right. Pip install. If it is not there, install it via pip install virtual env. Okay. So again, you will get the latest virtual env, right? So now what you have to do, right? Virtual env is a concept, right? Where you can separate out the packages, where you can separate out the packages per project. Now in the same system, right? Instead of having the things installed globally, right? You can create one virtual environment, virtual and one. Then this is, let us say, for project one, virtual n2, and you can create multiple virtual n3, and this for project one and project two and project three. Here you can install 2.7. Here you can install 1.5. Here you can install 2.8. Right? So project one will use this, project two will use this, and project three will use this. Now we are no more installing them globally. You are creating a virtual environment and you are installing specific libraries, and each of this virtual environment are isolated. They are independent, they are isolated, they are independent. So there you can install for same package different versions in a different virtual environment. So if I'm running project one, all I have to do is activate virtual environment and done. I have all my packages up to date with project one. If I'm working on project two, all I have to do is activate virtual environment two, and I have all my packages up to date in the virtual environment two, and project two can run successfully. And same goes for project three. Now, how do I create a virtual N? How do I create a virtual N? So in order to create a virtual environment, so the command is virtual env and followed by your environment name. You can give any name that you want, right? Example, virtual env project one underscore env, virtual env project two underscore env, virtual env project three underscore env. You can create different virtual environments, and then you have to, once you have this, you have to activate the virtual environment. You have to activate. So whenever you create a virtual environment, right, it will create one folder. It will create one folder with the name as whatever you have given here, right? You have to use that name, project one underscore env, right? Then have to use, there will be something called scripts, and there is something called activate. So this activates the virtual environment, and once it is activated, you can install packages, and run the project. Example, I'll just show you. Virtual env project one right? Let me cancel this and rather project1 underscore n by views n. So this is going to create one virtual environment. If you see, right, project1.env, which is created, right? Let me go into env, and this is all the things where there's something called lib scripts, right? All the things. Now what I can do is, how do I activate it? Project name, right? Right, scripts dot activate. The moment you dot say activate, do you see some in the left here? There is no project, there is a parenthesis, and within that there is project1 underscore env, which means your project1 environment is activated, Pip install PUBG2 hyphen binary is equal to 2.6, right? Uh, Double equal to I've used, not single equal to. So what are the packages that I have? From 2.7 to 2.9. So let me install 2.7.4 here. I could not build wheels, which is latest. Okay, so there is some error when trying to install the older version. Let me just say pip freeze and check there is nothing installed here. Uh, Let me just try to fix this. I'm suspecting maybe it is because of the pip version. I'm going to upgrade it. Pip upgrade pip. Can use pip install hyphen hyphen upgrade only, right? So let me just use this. Yeah, pip install hyphen hyphen upgrade pip. I'm upgrading the pip. Exit. Terminal new environment. If I see now, if see by default there is there is an environment called VN which is activated. If I don't want that to be activated, I'm going to use deactivate command and it should deactivate. Right now, if you see after I enter deactivate command, now this VN was not there anymore. VN was not there anymore. And if I have to activate it again, I can do activation. Now let me just upgrade the pip to modify the other following command. I don't know why this is still saying this. Let me just, since it is suggesting, let me just copy and paste that and see if it is able to do that. Okay, now the pip is upgraded to the latest. Right, so now I know I have created I cannot use grep command here. Okay, let me just look the list and the environment I have created right already, which is project1. And so I'm going to activate that environment backslash scripts activate. And if you see project1 env is activated, pip phrase, so there is nothing in that. Now pip search. I want to get all the versions that are available. Case the example because Wi-Fi no longer supports pip search. Then Let's see, let me just see, like, what are the deprecated methods, and search they have removed, right? So if I have to get, right, let me see if there is any equivalent method to do the same thing. I want to get all the versions. Okay, they are saying, like, use pip install something called pip search, which can help you. And if not, let me just go back and try with a different version. We'll install try 2.8 here. It is causing certain problems. To understand which version has it installed, 3.10, right? So whenever you see that certain errors, right? So you have to just, not everybody would know everything. So we have to, like, probably Google, try to read, find out what is happening, and then install the respective things properly. I think I have to install
Okay,
Google
sir.
Tools. Uh, they're saying, like, do appkins lib pq dev and then install psychopg2. Let us try that. This also is causing a problem. It doesn't allow sudo. Okay, this is for a apt-get install. We will not get libpqdev for sure. So this are have to. So this is a Windows specific error. I'm going to say Windows. Otherwise, it keeps giving me some other operating system result as well. So in order to understand this, okay. Right, wheel and then setup tools. Upgrading pip again in this environment. Now let me try installing psychopg2 binary and see if it causes any problem. Error still it is having a problem. Okay, so for now it is saying Microsoft Visual C++ 14 or greater is required to get the Microsoft C. Again, my C library, I have to upgrade the C library, which I'm not going to do right now. So let me try installing 2.7. 2.7.4. Right, even for this, it is saying Microsoft. I have to upgrade my C++ library, which if I have to download, it'll take time. But ultimately, if not psychopg2, what I am going to install is I'm going with some other library, not psychopg2, because it is going to cause a lot of problems as of now. Right now, pip freeze, if I do, it has installed several libraries, right? So Flask is 2.3.3, right? So in this project, I can have this, right? I'm going to deactivate this, right? And I'm going to create another virtual environment. project2 underscore env, and by default it gets activated also. Right, so it did not, but let's activate it. Project 2 env scripts activate. Right now, if you see here, project 2 environment is activated, and if I just say pip freeze, basically nothing is there. Right now, I'm going to say pip install flask is equal to 2.0, not 2.3, 2.0. I always have to use the double equal to. Right, if you see the difference between these two packages, right, I'm going to say pip freeze. Now, what is the version I have for Flask here? Flask 2.0.0 in the project 2 and in the project 1 2.3.3. Now all I have to do, see now there are, I'm able to install same package with two different versions in a same system by leveraging the power of virtual environment. Now if I'm working on project 2, I can use this environment. If I want to work on project 1, all I have to do is deactivate this, right? Deactivate this and again activate the virtual environment 1, which is the project 1.env, right? If I do, if I do the pip freeze, now here it says 2.3. With this power, right, with this virtual environment, right, by just activating, deactivating, and creating a virtual environment and using it, I can install different version packages, Python packages of different versions, and can use that on a different projects, can use that on a different projects, and which contains a different versions, and they can work well. Okay, are we clear with this?
Yes, sir. Clear, sir.
Clear, sir.
Okay, now with this, right, so we have completed our Python codes, right? Starting tomorrow, not tomorrow, so starting Monday, we will start working on the backend design using the Flask API, Flask package, and building a web application. Okay. Now I want you guys to start reading about HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and stuff like that, because front end thing we are not going to teach, but the mostly the backend design part, right? And I would actually integrate it with the HTML, CSS, and I would give that code to you, but you have to understand that on your own.
Okay,
Okay.
sir.
All right, guys, then thank you. And
Thank you, sir.
let me know if there are any
Thank you,
questions.
sir.